What is ceremony? Hi, I'm Nick, former medical doctor turned soul doctor, and today I'll be speaking about what ceremony looks like when it's done with me. I can only speak about my ceremonies right now because that's what I facilitate, and I can only speak from my perspective in a way. I will weave in what I imagine are my clients' perspectives, but soon we'll have some videos from my clients as well so they can speak from their perspective. That will be probably more clear to some of you. But I've had a lot of questions recently about what this looks like. And I'll lay it out in the ways that I can right now. So first of all, ceremony looks like a full day experience, starting off ideally early in the morning. And it can last anywhere from 6 to 12 hours in total. And why I say that is just to plant some seeds. It can happen at your home if that's a safe, great, clean environment for you. And it can happen at another safe location if that's what feels better, more aligned. And remembering that the first thing is safety. It's safety for your mind, body, and soul. And the reason for that is in a space of safety, then the creativity, the play, the wonder can really come out. If you can imagine a child on a playground gets to do whatever they want because they feel safe, as opposed to doing something in the middle of traffic or somewhere else. Now, what ceremony looks like, and we're talking about today, is a medicine ceremony, a plant medicine ceremony, a expanded consciousness states ceremony. And I've been through many myself, I've been through many modalities, and I'm talking more about a private ceremony today, one that's just for you. So many of us are used to being around people, and we can want to be caretakers, want to care for other people's issues, or want to blend in the background. And these private ceremonies make this all about you, receiving the attention, the love, the reflection of the self. And so what I start with every time is kind of a grounding, intention setting, and then breath work. Why the breath work initially is because you can find the medicine from within. You can rediscover both the anchor of your breath and the guide of your breath. You can dial the experience up and dial it down with the intensity of your breath. You can remember the importance of relaxation, the spaces in between spaces that are there. And that itself can be a medicine ceremony. It often is, especially when I'm there with you, guiding you, facilitating you, and also usually taking some medicine to help enhance your experience. While you remember that you don't actually have to physically take medicine, just being in the presence of it can actually enhance and be the experience itself. And I say that because in some of the olden days, the only person that took the medicine was the medicine keeper, and everyone else just got to experience it. And so then after the breath, there's a period of integration, there's a period of remembering, there's a period of clarity for the actual intention. And then after that, we're going to step into medicine. And this is the only time where I remind people, you have full choice and autonomy up to this moment. But the moment you take the medicine, I take over in terms of being responsible for your safety, mind, body, and soul. And so it's not complete until I say it's complete. And I say that because we're stepping into the medicine space knowing that it will help diminish the default mode network. And that default mode network, as much as you may not enjoy it, you might be causing yourself pain, suffering, depression, all those things, also has kept you safe and alive up to this point. And I want to make sure as you step outside of it that you don't immediately cause yourself harm, hurt maybe, but not harm. And so that piece is there to remind you, you don't ever have to go into these things. You have divine sovereign choice. And so the medicine, what I work with now is a stack. And why I say a stack is because then no one medicine has to do all the lifting itself. And usually it starts off with mushrooms, which are mischievous, which are psychedelic, which can allow visuals, which can allow for turning off the default mode network, which can allow for what we would call traditionally hallucinations or delusions, thinking outside of the box, seeing outside of the box. And in that state, we add in a heart-opening medicine, usually MDMA, possibly 3-MMC, and those allow for safety, for connection, for love, for self-love. And together, they create a space for really stepping into an experience. And they usually last about 4 hours. And after about 2 hours, and this is with music, with guidance, with safety, with support, then we might add in something like ketamine, intranasal ketamine, so spray in the nose. The first two are oral. And the reason for that is this allows for some dissociation. This allows for some and aesthetic. This allows you to step into places that may have previously been painful. This allows for, and this is the way I'll phrase it, metaphysical surgery. This allows for so much more, and they layer together. Now, for a private ceremony just with me, this is where we usually stop in terms of the medicine cabinet and the stacking. When we have the ability to have a co-facilitator, then we can decide if we want to step into the medicine of 5-MeO-DMT, the God molecule. A very rapid experience, so to speak, in terms of our temporal time, but a very deep, profound experience of being with the God within. And why I say that is there's so many messages that come through, and we don't try to blast you off. Rather, it's layering you in. Handshake, hug, full embrace. And we can explain that. Some ways it's dose dependent, but some ways it's experience dependent. And all this is creating a space of surrendering, of bliss, of having the space and time in between to actually land the experiential process. And as we come out of this and land, we create space for you to land and actually remember and reflect and journal. And then we have some snacks, some food, some living foods to actually land and ground your body. And then ideally in a space where you can rest, recalibrate, take a really good bath or a shower, and actually have, hopefully, that you've created for yourself the next day off at least, to actually reflect and make the most of the experience. And then we'll chat and have a little integration within the next 1 to 2 weeks. And this is the bare bones of the ceremonial experience. And what happens and the layers that happen are so much more. But we can talk about that another time, where I'm happy to address any questions that you have. And really, who would want to step into this? You'd want to have either, on one end, deep curiosity, wonder, excitement. And I love coming from that space. And more often than not, right now, most people have to be hitting their own version of a rock bottom, whether it's a problem, whether it's a relationship, whether it's infertility, whether it's dis-ease, and usually the big ones such as cancer, autoimmune, insomnia, diagnoses that are really causing pain and suffering. In which case, there's a willingness to try something that's so far out of the normal box that you're willing to dive into this. And you're realizing how important it is to go into a place of this with safety, with guidance. And why I'm grateful for this is having spent over a decade in this space and spending my whole life in the healing arts, is that I feel confident in stepping in it with you. And know that that confidence comes from a place of knowing when we actually meet up, when we connect, when we choose to work together, it's a choice. It's a decision. This isn't the right or the wrong thing, but when we decide together, then it is, in a way, the right thing for us. And what's possible, that more beautiful world. What's possible with more intuition. What's possible after we do a beautiful custom reset. And it's like turning that computer on and off again. There's so much more capacity, so much more possibility, so much more RAM available. And I look forward to those who this video feels connected with. And I look forward to all the work, which is really just play for me, that happens in the future. Ciao for now.